Hi and welcome back to my channel, My Happy Hippie Life. Today we're going to be talking about fermented garlic. Now for us it's one of our strongest go-tos for infections. I've used it for mastitis many times whilst breastfeeding. I would let a fever run and take fermented garlic every few hours, and when you're hot especially it comes out of your pores, you can smell it's there, and it goes through every part of your body. And it's always been successful in killing an infection for us. It's also very strong antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial. It even fights cancer. The uses for garlic, the power in the properties of it are amazing. It's been used throughout history. The ancient Babylonians and Assyrians, it's been used in ancient Greece, Rome, it's been used worldwide. And I think we've come to a point now, unfortunately, in modern society where we've forgotten the power of many things that nature has given us, and we've been led to believe that only medicinals made with a long ingredients list by big pharmaceutical companies are of any use to us for our health. Fortunately, I think things are starting to come around now, and we're starting to realise and remember some of the uses of natural medicine. Now, disclaimer, as always, I'm not a trained health professional, and you must always seek professional medical advice when you're ill or when considering underlying health conditions. Particularly with garlic, if you are on blood thinners, you shouldn't significantly increase your intake of garlic suddenly. But I am here to share with you what we do, what our choices are, and it is for you to decide with your own judgment what your choices are to be for your family. And consult your choice of health practitioner. There are many different types of professionals that you can go to. I know what our choice would be. We haven't been to our GP in many years. In fact, we haven't taken any pharmaceutical medicinals for well over 3 years now. We have many go-tos. Coconut oil for fungal infections. We use fermented garlic for bacterial infections. We use elderberry syrup, which is another one I'll cover a little bit closer to autumn now, because that's very useful through the winter. We use that for viral infections. And there's lots of different things that we have in our medicinal arsenal, as it were, for natural remedies. But this is a very strong and potent one that we rely on quite a lot. So I'd like to share with you how to make it and the uses that it may be helpful for to you. And I hope you enjoy the video. The reason that we use fermented garlic, although garlic in its own right is full of wonderful medicinal properties, fermenting garlic basically makes everything more potent. It makes it more bioavailable to our bodies, easier to digest. It doesn't repeat on you as much either, because obviously garlic, especially if you're running a fever, garlic's going to come out of your pores, you're going to smell it. But fermenting it's kind of like the difference between a raw onion and a pickled onion. Although it's not pickling, it goes more salty than vinegary. There is a vinegariness to it once it's strongly fermented, but there's still the undercurrent of salt as well, which you don't get when you're pickling. But it has that same sort of almost partially digested, like partially cooked difference to it. It goes slightly more translucent. It's not as strong in taste. And it, like I say, it doesn't repeat on you as much, which is the problem a lot of people have with taking garlic, either raw as it is or using garlic capsules and such. My mum particularly doesn't like taking garlic. She says it always repeats on her. But yeah, fermenting it does reduce that significantly. It increases its probiotic properties exponentially, and it just makes it better in every way imaginable. You ideally want to ferment for, I'd say, at least 3 weeks really to get a good difference in it, to get it to really, 3 days it is going to really start getting busy and active, and you want to let some air out of the jar for the first 3 days or so. But 3 weeks is where you're going to really hit a good peak. Personally, I leave my garlic to ferment for about 3 months. I try to keep 2 on the go so that when one's coming to the end, the next one is well on its way. It's a very simple process. People think fermenting is complicated. It's really not. So I'm going to show you today how to make it. This was a pack of 3 heads of garlic, organic garlic. If you're going to go to all this bother, pay the extra, 30p, whatever it might be, to get organic. Crushing it is the most ideal way to take it because that greatly increases the release of allicin, which is the property that most medicinal uses are put down to. That's a sort of antifungal, antioxidant, antiviral. There are, I'm sure, many other components to garlic which all come together, but that's the main one that sort of research attributes it to. Crushing it and mixing it with a teaspoon of honey makes it more palatable. However, I tend to just swallow one whole, which we've had great success with. So little organic ones tend to be smaller, which is ideal for just taking one quickly, just, no hassle, just swallow it like a large tablet. So I'm going to fill the jar with the peeled cloves, wash this jar very thoroughly and then rinsed many extra times to make sure there's no remnants of washing liquid, because obviously there's a lot of antibacterials in those, and that's the exact opposite to what we want. You can use little clip top jars. Those are great ones with the rubber seal. They sort of self-burp, they let gases out because fermentation causes a release of gases. I'm at the moment just using a little honey jar, which means because it won't let air out itself, I'll just, they call it burp it, you just open it a little bit and it goes and it'll do that for the first 2 or 3 days. Fill it up till it's well covered with filtered water. If you don't have a water filter that you're quite confident in, just buy a bottle of water. That's mineral water, that's fine. Now once you've done that, once it's all filled and covered, I've got 1 or 2 considering floating at the moment. Sometimes when the fermentation begins, gases release and 1 or 2 will float. So we're going to look at a way to hold them down in a moment. 1 teaspoon of sea salt. That's what causes the brine. Salt, it does help to sort of preserve things, also helps to stop things from going soft when you're fermenting. There we go, that's our simple brine. Now I'm also using a little circle of cabbage leaf, that is for the occasional floaters. Yeah, you can see they're just starting to think about it, sort of standing on end. So I'm just going to pop that in, cut to size already. There we go, it's going to help to keep them down. Now, depending on how well you've cut that might be enough to sort of hold it tight to the edges. That should be, to be honest. In fact, I've done it many times without a leaf in at all and it's been fine, but ideally a leaf will help to hold them down. Just going to top that up. Now I've also recently bought, you can get weights for fermenting, they're quite expensive, just to help really make sure things are held down. I bought a pack of little tea light holders, because I do things in smaller jars sometimes, and this fits perfectly. Here we go, and that is just going to be enough to hold everything below the waterline. And there we go, that is it, perfect. Pop that aside for a good while. Like I say, if we do have a need for it, then I'll use it after about 3 weeks or so. If I have need for it now and I haven't got another one on the go, then I'll use it straight away. But I usually have more than one. I will ideally keep it for about 3 months and try to keep that cycle of another one being ready when that one is finished. It's also very potent, very powerful against parasites. Parasites tend to be a problem that most people have, whether they realise it or not. And if you do start to really attack them, you tend to need to do so on from many angles. So I would definitely recommend adding fermented garlic to your arsenal if you are fighting that battle. It's very, very powerful for those. If you have a natural medicinal cupboard of go-tos, manuka honey, coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, fermented garlic, it's up there in my top 5. definitely. I would always recommend having fermented garlic in the house. The juices also can be used if you maybe have a younger child who's not going to want to take a mouthful of crushed garlic, even with honey. A little syringe of the juices can be used in the same way. My son's done quite well. He's not fond of it, obviously, but he has had it once when it's been needed. So it's extremely powerful, extremely potent medicinal. It's our go-to first before anything else, and as a result, we've never needed anything else since using it. So I hope you found this video useful. It's an extremely potent, very powerful, age-old medicinal, and I would certainly recommend you add it to your arsenal as natural medicinals go. And if it's something that you've used before, or if you've had uses for just raw garlic before, pop a mention in the comments. I'd love to have a chat about it and see what your experiences are. And if you've got any ideas for future videos that you'd like to see, do let me know. Please remember to like, and if you come to us from Facebook particularly, share. That would be very helpful. And click the subscribe button, and I will be sure to have plenty of exciting things to come as well. Oh, my henna arrived this morning, my henna hair dye. That's going to be an interesting one to try. Kayla's away on a cadet course at the moment. I can wait for her to come back. I think an extra pair of hands might be needed for that, and an extra pair of eyes particularly, that can see and see colour. It'll be exciting anyway. I'm looking forward to giving it a try. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week.